All right, and we're welcome in, everyone. This is day 3 of our community tournament here. We've got 4 matchups for you guys over the course of the next 8 hours. Today is going to be Team Rebel versus Team Rui Potatoes. There's a Team Rebel and a Team Rebellion, different teams. Just this is the one that is the shorter one. We are waiting on a little stuff on the back end before we can get started, but I'm really excited about this matchup. It is unfortunately just going to be me today, so if you guys have any questions or anything, you can send them in the YouTube chat. I've got my phone open. I can check them out as we're going. I've also got a spreadsheet of the characters listed here, so I can look at as we're going through. I see a lot of really interesting hunters. We've got the only Bonbon in this tournament on Team Rui Potatoes. We've got a Sculptor and a Disciple, and on the other side, we've got something real scary. We see a Mad Eyes. We had a Mad Eyes yesterday go on Sacred Heart and get a 4K using some slug strats, which was pretty cool. Oh, my little co-caster's a cat. Hey, little guy. So I'm always excited for some Mad Eyes gameplay. I think he's one of the most fun characters to watch, even if the matchups take like 20 minutes. But he just plays his own little game. It's not Identity 5 at that point. It's just the Mad Eyes game, and you just have to work with the consoles. It's literally Five Nights at Freddy's from both sides. The Mad Eyes checking the consoles, the survivors trying to hack the consoles and make it so they don't just instantly die or get trapped. Yeah, really fun to watch. I also see a peddler on that team, so honestly, I was talking with my friend recently who also plays Mad Eyes. It is such a blessing to have a hunter that you can pull out on Sacred Heart if it comes. You can plan around Sacred Heart. You can tell your team, hey, I'm going to give you guys a really easy time on Survivor, and I'm just going to try my best to 4K with my really off-meta pick with Mad Eyes. And I think that's one of the coolest things you can do in a tournament. We saw it last match, round 1 Sacred Heart, and they managed to make it work. We are just waiting for a little more stuff, I believe, but the survivors should be coming in pretty quickly. Honestly, over the course of this tournament, we haven't really, besides the first matchup, which I admittedly skipped through a little bit, we haven't really seen strict meta too much. I personally haven't seen a single Goat Man in the 3 sets that I've done, and I know we've only had a couple opera singers. We had a Hullabaloo last round that actually did really well, so call back to the old meta. Just it's awesome to see in these community tournaments people who, I mean, obviously it's great if you have really dedicated players to always keep up on the meta, always on top of things, but having these sort of community tournaments in a region that's not as super competitive as China might be, we get to see a lot of off meta picks, and that's what I really love about this game. Goman can get a little tiring to watch, and oh my god, the meta of Shadow round 1 or round 2 was miserable, but the matches, they go pretty quick and they go really fun. We saw a Percy last match, didn't really go too well, but when do you ever see Percy? So I'm excited to see what kind of wild cards we can pull out today. Especially since a lot of these people, they rank in NAU rank, you can kind of get anything. Honestly, I find that most of the time I play worse against the off-meta survivors, or sorry, the off-meta hunters, so having those off-meta hunters in here gives them a little more practice against them than maybe some people from the other regions. It is just going to be a little bit here. Yeah, looks like we were trying to get some back end. I hope this doesn't run too long. Again, we've got 4 matchups today, and it's on a strict 2-hour timer. So, hope we get that done. I'm going to be commentating this one, and then the one at the end of the day today. I think we've got Kaneko in the middle, too. Yeah, really fun matchups. If you want, I can actually look through the schedule and see what we got, since I am looking for anything to do right now. For today, Sunday the 31st, well, last day of May. We've got Rebel Ruby Potato starting up. We've got Go Loco and CPSD coming right after this. B versus HME right after that, and capping off the day with SGT versus Fat Chuds. It's probably my favorite name of the tournament. Honey Buddy, a close second. I had a lot of fun with Honey Buddy yesterday. All right, we are getting the map bands going right here in the chats. I'm interested. We haven't really had a typical round 1 map at all, from what I've seen. Not really any lakesides, not really any Leos. We had a round 1 Red Church the other day. Round 1 Sacred Heart, obviously, very, very non-standard. So excited to see what the survivors are looking for here. I know Team Rui Potato is one of the only teams, I believe. No, sorry, excuse me. Team Rebel is one of the only teams that actually has a coach and a manager, so might be taking it a little more seriously than things we've seen in the past, but that's also the team with the Mad Eyes, so could be a Sacred Heart coming out, could be an Ever Sleeping. Scary stuff that can be coming. You see. We've got a Dark Words and a Red Church ban. Interesting. I'm actually pretty surprised about that. We don't really see Red Church picked or banned usually in round one because it's usually a pretty consistent draw map. It's really hard for survivors to get more than a draw due to how small the map is and how close the gates are in endgame. And it's really hard for the hunter to get more than a draw just due to how close the ciphers are together. I mean, just the amount of the cipher locks or three ciphers that you can get on Red Church. If you roll unlucky a 1 out of 5 chance, you can get double middle and graveyard. We saw that happen yesterday with a Qist match, and although that wasn't the three cipher that they defended the rest of the game, it was still really scary to see. Looks like we're going to Ever Sleeping. Interesting. This is the Rui Potato choosing the map here, and this is the team with the Mad Eyes. So Ever Sleeping Mad Eye is one of the only maps that really work for him in this high level of gameplay. Red Church sometimes, if you get the trap in the middle of the church there, it can win games, and if you don't get it, it can lose games. But we saw yesterday how Mad Eyes on Sacred Heart can just have so much pressure with locking down those ciphers. Because if Mad Eyes puts up his wall near a cipher, that is 20 whole seconds that you cannot decode that cipher. So a lot of overlapping consoles, a lot of pressure on the ciphers. Tough map from Mad Eyes. And Ever Sleeping, of course, having the narrow hallways and honestly kind of small map comparatively. The tram from Ever Sleeping takes up a good part of the map, and the actual core of the map in the middle, honestly pretty small. And Mad Eyes does really well when the map is small and has one-way corridors that you can get trapped off in. Let's see. Looks like it is going to be Team Rebel going Hunter first. Interesting. When you choose the Hunter first, especially with a scary thing like Mad Eyes in the back, you really kind of want to get that 4K to alleviate some of the pressure from your survivors and to also put some pressure on the opposite hunter. Mad Eye's a hunter that really, if the pressure's getting to you and you start making small mistakes, those mistakes add up and add up and add up, and suddenly all the consoles are gone, you have no energy, and you just lose the game. So definitely more of a pressure hunter, which these players are going to have to be prepared for. Survivors are coming in here. We're going to get into the Bandon picks very soon, but for right now, we're kind of just chilling. It is going to be Team Rebels Hunter versus Team Rui Potato Survivors on Eversleep. Yeah, I mean, Eversleeping we're seeing kind of more and more being more of the standard pick. I've always said it's a very 50-50 map. It obviously very small, like I was saying. The tracks that go around make it artificially larger. I cannot believe that map is in Duo Hunters. Should be. It is way too small to be in Duo Hunters, but it's pretty small, so the ciphers are pretty close together. There's a guaranteed cipher always in the S palette or island area. Really easy to plan for ciphers, but if you get unlucky with some cipher layouts, there's some cipher locks that are really scary for the endgame. And the two-story middle cipher, deceptively unsafe. The hunter can just kind of push you out and then you're stuck. So, but on the flip side, the map being so small means there's so many good loops that survivors can just make it to. 4 survivors with broken windows on Ever Sleeping just destroys so many hunters. They get corner house into mid, into middle house, into graveyard, or vice versa, and it's so tough to deal with just by the sheer density of pallets in the middle of the map. They can always kind of chain things together. We got hunters are in, survivors are in. We're just waiting for some readies up, and then we can get started. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Just setting some stuff up for the VC. Once again, for the people who joined in, I am sole commentating today, so if you have any questions, I've got my phone open to the YouTube chat, or anything you've noticed in the match that you want to feel call to my attention, I will be paying attention, because I'm going to have some downtime. Ooh, I can do some... Ooh, I can. I'm in the lobby, so I can start checking out some of the survivors. Obviously, most of them have a lot of their stuff hidden, but... Level 190 on this hunter, peak tier hunter. Very scary. I mean, peak tier hunter doesn't really... Peak tier survivor, peak tier hunter, I feel like they don't mean much anymore with how much point inflation's been going on, but still, looking at someone who's level 190, that's pretty scary. Alright, looks like all the survivors and hunter are locked in, and we're moving into the ban and pick phase. Coming in for round 1. I'm expecting, Seer, Doctor. We saw that almost every single round. Yep, there it is. Doctor gone, Seer gone. So many of the round 1 hunters, they're Goatman, Opera Singer, Qist, they really struggle with tanky characters that don't get injured. Seer using that owl to prevent an injury, and Doctor just being able to heal off her injury. Really tough to deal with for a lot of these characters. Looks like we're locking in Gravekeeper Matador first. Okay. Gravekeeper, very common round one rescuer. Uh, if he doesn't get banned, it's just going to be the first officer and vice versa. So most hunters opt to just get him global banned right away. Get him out of the way, don't have to deal with Gravekeepers anymore. Same thing, the kind of 50-50. Enchantress was banned, and we see the Archer. It's really tough for the hunters to kind of curate the exact survivor lineup they want. When you ban a good rescuer, they pick a good rescuer. You ban the good harasser, here comes the Archer. So, interested to see what we got here. Seer, Doc, Enchantress, and Lanternist are locking in for the bans. Lanternist round one, yeah. And it looks like locking in Arrow. Okay. Gravekeeper, Matador, Archer, and Aeroplanist. Interesting. Aeroplanist, we only have 3 global bans for this tournament, so Aeroplanist is going to be saved for future rounds, which is really good for these survivors here. Aeroplanist, a very consistent rescuer, and very good at just evading that first hit, evading the blink, making that first kite take as long as possible if he is the one taking first kite. This survivor lineup as well, they can kind of hide who's carrying the Tide Turner here. Obviously, Gravekeeper is going to be keeping it, but either Matador or Aeroplanist can kind of run it. So it could be if the hunter's trying to get rid of a Tide in the early stages of the game, they could just lose a 50 and chase someone who's carrying Broken Windows. You know, Broken Windows Aeroplanist, very scary on Ever Sleeping. Broken Windows Matador, I don't think any hunter likes to chase that. So kind of a 50-50 here to see what they're going for. And they could also just run Triple Tide, get a very consistent tie team comp going. Yeah, I mean, Matador and Archer have really good support capabilities as well. Archer just straight up with the stuns, but Matador you can't really bring excitement against since he still gets that the cleave. You don't get pushed back. I don't believe you get slowed, but he still gets the dash off, which is a little ridiculous in my opinion. Matador also gets the dash off if he hits a breaking wheel in wheel form, which makes zero sense to me. I mean, he's supposed to be immune to every control effect, but you know, whatever. I'm not sure if it works for Qist. I've never tried it with Qist. The sets are in a language I do not speak, so I don't get a little sneak peek on who's running Tide here, unfortunately, so I'm going to find it out at the same time you guys do. Locking in Shadow. Okay, Shadow's a little scary here. Matador and Archer both love to look back to kind of use their item, and Shadow, obviously, if you look at her, you give her the opportunity for the revelation, or just, you know, passive corruption gain. Aeroplanist does pretty well into Shadow, I will say. He's been being able to use his rockets to get out of the range of the almost guaranteed with ping 20 corruption you get off the circle. Very valuable. And obviously using his hover to just immediately get away from it. Very valuable for the team. And Gravekeeper's Gravekeeper. No hunter that has any kind of effect, you know, secondary effect, Hermit stuns, Naiad Water. Naiad Water works, never mind. But Shadow Corruption, really tough to deal with for a Gravekeeper. Although he does get out of shovel. I don't know, we're probably not chasing the Gravekeeper first. On builds here, it is Broken Windows Matador. Yeah, I don't think anyone chases that, especially not a Shadow whose weakness typically is her early game. Tide Turner Gravekeeper spawning in the middle. Makes sense. You want that middle cipher done ASAP, especially against a macro control hunter like Shadow. And keep him in consistent rescuer there means probably not going to get chased. Archer keeping safe in 2-story mid here, interestingly enough. I mean, she has a lot of options here, but also full kite with the flywheel and knee-jerk reflex means miserable chase target at any point of the match, even after harassment, after she's used a couple items. Especially on a hunter that doesn't really have any mobility other than just straight walking and using her blink. And it is Flywheel and Tide Aeroplanist, interestingly enough, spawning in the top middle section, maybe potentially getting chased, but Shadow doesn't love elevation, and Aeroplanist's whole gimmick is elevation, and he's in the elevation area of the map, so if I'm this Shadow here, I'm really struggling for a target. All of these guys do really well into me. This is the, oh man, the once skin Shadow. This one looks really cool. And it looks like... Ooh, okay. Airplane is taking a little while to load in there. Sending the Yithi into the middle of the map, trying to get some pressure. Like I was saying, tough to deal with, that middle cipher. Gravekeeper dropping pallets to maybe potentially go for some shovel plays here. Looks like, do we have eyes on the Aeroplanist? No, Aeroplanist, we've lost Tinnitus. Aeroplanist just completely rotated out. Did he go through her? Oh, wow. He did go through her. Shadow rocking, probably the most consistent Shadow build you can run. No anti-stun for the Archer, though. And 3 out of 3 Berserker with Claustrophobia is interesting. going to the Island Cypher here. Gets the Shadow Revelation. Is he in Terror Radius for that? He is in Terror Radius, just barely, so he's not going to get the Natural Decay. Bit of a moonwalk here. Oh, he's in trouble. Oh, he's in trouble. This is a lot of corruption. And he still has the Yithian on him with 75%. This is scary. Blinks up as well. He kind of just needs to make his distance here, which Matador, of course, is very good at, especially with broken windows. We see an Archer shot, delaying that as much as possible. Gets the Revelation, though, and there's the down. Oh, wow, and this is right in the middle of two ciphers that are being worked on. This is a great start of the game for the Shadow. Taking that 100 laceration as well. Not really... I mean, I could never. Shadow takes way too much multitasking for me, but usually when we see like pickups and stuff like that, they're always multitasking. Let's see. Delaying the Revelation, the Possess a little bit, just trying to get eyes on the survivors here. And again, it looks like they're having the Gravekeeper just consistently stick on that middle cipher. They want it done as soon as possible. Sending in the Aeroplanist, who also has Tide, giving the Matador a chance to kind of just run away a little bit. Double Possession, gets the hit, does not get the 100. Is she going to go for the double down here? She's not. Okay, she just goes straight for the Matador, has already 60% of corruption. One Yithian Revelation is going to do it, as well as the Blink. Blink comes out, and there is Max Presence. Looks like he does just barely get his palette flag up, the Gaunera. I didn't know you could still get it with Tide. I feel like you shouldn't be able to get it with Tide. But I'm not on the dev team. He gets his Gaunera pass, so it's gonna be a little bit of a boon coming off of this next chair. Archer getting rid of the Ostracon so she can start working on this cipher here. Looks like they're gonna potentially go for some harass. Archer's set up to where the Matador can run into her with that Tide. Gravekeeper hops and shovel and gets all the way to the chair as the Yithian is moving over to the Aeroplanist here. Trying to go for a Terror Shock, doesn't quite get it. Yeah, using that Tide, looks like he's gonna be running... either running Corner House or going straight to the Archer here. Activates the Gaunera pass here. Deactivates it, gonna be taking the window. Oh, wow. Well played from the Matador, but she gets the vault, and because of the corruption moving her towards him, she gets the drop hit. Oh, man. Probably not what he was looking for there. Well played from just the knowledge of, okay, I'm gonna be vaulting this window because of it. I can move to my Yith. I'll be down there in a second. Good awareness from the Shadow. Sending out her Yithian to these ciphers here. And they have a big spread. Every cipher that they need has been worked on, but they just don't have the progress here. Even with the increased decoding speed from the Aeroplanist, Gravekeeper takes the Yithian, but Max Presence was on cooldown. Looks like she's trying to... No? Okay, I thought she was going to try and cancel Shovel, but that did not happen. She was kind of just looking at him. Taking it to the Archer now. Flywheel gets her a little bit of distance. And with the main body revelation being used, she's free to shoot an arrow and then a crossbow. Shadow herself can't really do anything about that. Once again, setting up with the Yithian. Once accelerated decoding has been activated, it's really tough for the Hunter here. She needs to not make any mistakes, or else these ciphers that I mentioned are a little bit slow, can very easily get away from her. Airplane has taken chase here. He does still have every single bit of his item as well as his flywheel, so if she's committing to this, it's going to probably take a while. Keeping the Yithian pressuring on the Archer here. She does not want this cipher being done. Once again, setting up for a potential cipher lock or a 3-cipher in the middle area, because they do still have the middle cipher undecoded as well as this North Graveyard spawn. Looks like she wants to go for the Archer here, potentially. Archer takes 60. Oh, Gravekeeper got hit by Tram. Uh-oh. He's only stunned for about 2 more seconds. But it's not enough time to get in Shovel, and he does use it, which puts it at a little bit of a durability loss. That's pretty bad for the survivors. No basement here. Means probably no cell. They're probably going to try and push for this. But man, that is really rough. Unfortunate timing with the tram coming through. I don't even know why he was in the middle of the street. Airplane Cypher, this is the one at 95. Looks like he's walking away. They're sending in the Archer. They are sending in the Archer. Okay. Maybe get a little potential harassment off chair, get Gravekeeper some time to get in his Shovel, make something happen. Dodges the Revelation, hits her through the arrow, and it is gonna be 100. Did she just go for the... She just go for the Archer here. No. Calling back the Yithian and going for the Gravekeeper. He gets out a Shovel, and Max Presence is off cooldown. Gravekeeper's Possess is also off cooldown. He should just be dead here. Yeah, there is the 100. And Gravekeeper now dead in this cipher lock that she was hoping for. The middle cipher only at... What is the middle at? Middle at 50? Middle at 85. Okay, so it's not as easy to hold as I thought, but still. She's dead, and the Gravekeeper dies on this cipher that she's been protecting since the very beginning of the match. Archer now all out of arrows, has only a crossbow. This is not looking great for the survivors here. They do have the ciphers, but it's gonna be tough because they need to decode both of the ones that she's pressuring currently, virtue of just her body being there, as well as the Yithian. She's probably gonna blink the Archer. Chair stalling just to buy a little more time. Max Presence is off cooldown, and Gravekeeper is unpossessed, so once the rescue happens, gonna be tough, but what does this do for the survivors even? What does chair stalling even do? There's no decoding happening. Possesses the Gravekeeper, gets the 100, Gravekeeper goes down, and now this is a 2v1 versus Shadow, on a map with very streamlined, opposite from each other gates. Gonna be really tough for the survivors if they want even a 1 out here. Archer opening a chest. What item works best here? I mean, Controller. Controller is the best item she can get, but Perfumer can maybe do something. She can maybe perfume off Max Presence if she times it right. Pressuring the aeroplanist here. She sees the footprints. She knows where he is. Yeah, this is just the power of Shadow here. She can sit on one cipher, just completely controlling it with her main body, and just scout around for the Archer. Archer now decoding Island, which is only at 40%. Max Presence off cooldown, Blink off cooldown. Has she blinked this game? I can't remember. If she hasn't, that's the use of the Blink onto the aeroplanist, and neither of these survivors have borrowed time as well. This is looking to be a really scary endgame for the survivors, if they can even make it to endgame. 2 ciphers still remain. 3 of them are worked and above 50%, but it's going to be hard, especially with how great this Shadow has been performing. Baits out the flywheel with a little bit of a wiggle there. It looks like the graveyard, the North Graveyard spawn cipher is going to be completed. Puts a little more pressure, especially with the aeroplanist's 32% decoding speed with accelerated decoding. She is able to kind of just slug it out, wait for her Max Presence to come back, it looks like. Looking for some revelations with the Yithian. Yeah, what do you even do with survivors here? Archer has her self-heal, aeroplanist has his self-heal and some items, but trying to pressure for the gate here with the final deduction is going to be tough. We're just waiting, I guess. Waiting for Blink, perhaps? Just sitting on the Archer. Archer's bleed out is now at 30%. If it gets to 50%, things can get kind of scary. There is the Possess. Just immediate hover, getting out of there. Archer pops her self-heal. Gonna be moving back to Island, it looks like. And yeah, with that 30 or 40% bleed out timer, things get kind of scary now for the Hunter with final deduction. If the aeroplanist can hide and manage to heal her, that's a pretty much guaranteed dungeon escape against a Shadow. She can maybe time it right with the corruption to kind of stall them, but if the survivors heal stall on top of the dungeon, it can be very, very scary. Cypher's climbing, though. I think she pops this in time. I think Yithian... Yeah, Yithian's too slow. She doesn't make it. Or, excuse me, well, she could have made it. She could have made the Cypher. But it looks like the Archer's playing it safe here. Self-heal used means she is a severe target for endgame. Has a perfume. Looking to graveyard just to buy some time. Aeroplanist moving in for the Cypher, though. Does she realize? She doesn't realize it's gonna pop. Oh, no. Okay, Aeroplanist goes down, but he still has his self-heal. She can possess the Aeroplanist if she wants and just find where the Archer is immediately, or she can just kind of patrol with her Yithian, which it looks like she's gonna do. Looks like she spotted her off in the distance. Max Presence off cooldown. Archer's flywheel is still on cooldown. Blink up in 4. I don't think the Archer's going to be able to make it. 99, but what does she even do here? She's got a perfume. Her flywheel's up in 2, but... Oh, and she perfumes back, but her camera angle's locked forward, so she just sees the face immediately and goes down. I'm so surprised this match made it to endgame. Wow. Well played from the survivors to actually push the ciphers here, recognizing that it wasn't worth it to try and keep pressuring the 3 cipher that she was obviously holding, starting to back up over at Island. Incredible work, and just the control portrayed by this Shadow here, just amazing. Recognizing her 3 cipher, constantly patrolling it, constantly having her main body pressuring down a survivor, making it so they can't decode, and constantly having the Yithian out and about, and making it so the survivors are scared to really do anything. Yeah, so that is our 4K for the round one first half. And now the team with the Mad Eyes is playing. No, wait. Was this the team with the Mad Eyes? I can't remember. One of the teams has a Mad Eyes and Ever Sleeping. I'm not sure if this was the one. If it wasn't the one, then we could be looking at a Mad Eyes. Another macro. Usually we don't really see too many macro hunters in round one other than Qist, who, with his recent nerfs, is barely even a macro hunter anymore. Usually we see the Goatman. I'm surprised we didn't see a Goatman round one. He does great on Eversleeping with the black cages pretty much everywhere. The large buildings making it so anytime the survivor comes out, they're either right in front of him or just straight up can't go through. So great map for Goatman, great map for Opera Singer. I'm surprised we didn't see either, instead opting to go for the Shadow, who typically we maybe save for a later round when we need the pressure for a draw, or on a Red Church map pick when we just kind of have the omnipresent pressure that she gets from small maps. But moving into second half here, current score is 5-0. Looking at the second half, this was Team Rebel's Hunter first. Team Rebel is the one with the Mad Eyes. Okay, so we did not see the Mad Eyes player unless the teams of Rui Potato want to pull out a crazy Mad Eyes. But Macro Hunters all over that team. Very interesting to see. Waiting on the survivors to join up here. Looking at the survivor picks from last team, though, global banning the Gravekeeper, global banning the Matador, global banning the Archer, going to be kind of tough moving forward. Archer, a really good harasser in this current meta, just because of how many hunters have a movement ability to move quickly that get kind of messed up by the laceration, as well as just not really having the burst range to deal with her long range harassment from balloon pickups. And Gravekeeper, obviously widely considered, also in my opinion, the best rescuer in the game, just to how consistent he is. 35 seconds of invincibility on a whim, kind of broken. Surprised we're not seeing any nerfs for him at the end of the season. Instead, they're just going to Doctor. You know, she deserves it too. But Gravekeeper gone. Matador, the recent new kiter, gone without the decoding buff. Or, excuse me, decoding debuff. Him gone too. Not the biggest deal. You kind of want to use broken characters in round one anyway. But that is a great kiter that is gone from future pools. Survivors moving in here, joining up into the lobby. The date, this was the one from the previous Premier tournament, so it does not have any additions that were made. I see a Bonbon Sculptor Disciple for one of the hunters here, as well as a Dreamwitch Queen Bee and Naiad. Not typically the round one hunters we're used to. No Qist. No one on these two teams said they have a Qist, which I'm pretty happy about. I think Qist is pretty cool, except for specifically when he's played on Eversleeping, because then he just becomes the I patrol my 3-gen and there's nothing you can do about it, and I'm very fast all the time. So honestly, I was just saying how much I hated the Shadow meta, but Shadow on Eversleeping I prefer over Qist on Eversleeping. Any other scenario, and I prefer the reverse. We've got the survivors in here, just looking to start the game when everyone is ready. Yeah, I mean, this hunter now is very pressured for a 4K, and the survivors having a 4K in their pocket can kind of go for some maybe off-meta picks to try and secure a draw here. Probably going to see a Seer Doctor ban anyway, just because those are also draw characters, but we could see a round one Embalmer if they're feeling risky. We could see a round one Mechanic. Mechanic kind of does well into Goatman too, so it's kind of a double punch there. A 1-2. They can kind of use these more draw-oriented characters because their hunter got a 4K and they have a little more freedom in who they choose. And also, if they do go off meta and they get 4K'd, they do still have a slight advantage due to the other survivors having picked very hard meta characters and no longer having access to them. Yep, just waiting for these survivors to ready up again. Honestly, I'm not sure. Oh, we're mixed around the hunters here. Of the hunter pool, I mean, I'm no Naiad player. I'm no Sculptor player. Those are two of my worst characters in the entire game, but I'm excited to see some Queen Bee. We haven't seen any Queen Bee, and I feel like maybe the low obstacles on Eversleeping can maybe do something, especially around those middle areas. the long line of sights in between the buildings. I don't want to see some Queen Bee. I mean, we missed out on her in Koa. We can get her in our small community tournament here. Looks like they did switch around who they have playing round one. I might be reading that wrong. 95% win rate in Hydra with 145 wins out of 190. Okay. They've also got Opera Singer badge on display. So again, for these tournaments, a lot of people like to hide all of their private or all of their information. So you can't see their badges, you can't see their medals, anything like that. This player does have a very Opera Singer oriented profile, so maybe we get to see some opera, especially with her new-ish. I mean, what's it been like a month and a half? The Koa skin, that one is so good. I wish it weren't echoes only. Switching around with the readying up. It looks like we're going to get started in probably the next minute or so. Yeah, I mean, into an opera singer, what do you got? You got a lot of tank characters, so we're probably going to see your doctor ban, unfortunately. I mean, unfortunately for the opera, she has to ban those, which leaves a lot of things open. Probably, if they really feel like it, they can go with that Gravekeeper, can maybe go for something a little more off meta. We might see a first officer round one instead for something like that. Mechanic also an option. Opera Singer, I mean, she kind of just eats up bot for the presence and then dashes right back after her, but still, very solid draw character we could be seeing. Because as long as this team, sorry, as long as this team gets one survivor out, they will win the rounds, and that is a huge advantage moving forward. Because if they can just keep that lead up to round 3, they just straight up win. Waiting on the hunter here to ready up. There we go. Like I said in the beginning about nerves, now you're a hunter facing down a 4K from the other survivors, knowing you need a 4K for this round to keep tempo for your own team. God, that is a lot of pressure. I can't imagine having to be one of the actual like professional meta hunters, just sitting up on stage with thousands of screaming fans and forced to get a 4K with your like tertiary character. It looks like a Matador Antiquarian ban. Interesting. Not seeing a Dr. Seer. Dr. Seer has typically been the number one and number two. Well, their Doctor comes in at number 3. We've got an Enchantress number 1 pick and a Gravekeeper number 2. They are just going very consistent characters. Gravekeeper, great rescuer. Enchantress, one of the best harassers, one of the best kiters in current meta, especially with Broken Windows, especially on Ever Sleeping. We've got a Priestess pick. Okay, this is the kind of off-meta picks I was talking about. They can get that support there with the Priestess on Ever Sleeping. This is one of the only maps where she really sees any play competitively, just due to the long line of sight blockers of the buildings that she can just move through. And like I was saying in the beginning, having all of those interconnected kiting areas that she can just skip through with the portal, really, really powerful on this map. Aeroplanist is the last ban. No Seer ban, interestingly enough. Seer was free, and they did not choose him. Puppeteer is going to be the last one chosen. This is a really, really nice team comp here. Priestess giving a global healing buff to the typically slower healers in the Puppeteer and Enchantress. Enchantress maybe potentially going up for some harass with the Puppeteer, giving him some more puppets. And 2 consistent rescuers with the Gravekeeper and Puppeteer, with a potential 3rd rescuer on that Priestess. Priestess's ability just shines on Ever Sleeping with the amount of chairs that are right up next to a building. She can wait till the very, very last second, portal through, get a rescue at 99%, and it's really tough to deal with outside of a nice little Terror Shock. I do have a little bit of access to the builds here. It looks like the Enchantress is going to be running Broken Windows Flywheel. Going to be a 12-9 Enchantress. That is nightmare fuel for most hunters. Broken Windows Matador and Broken Windows Enchantress, so frustrating to deal with for any character whose name is not Percy. Typical rescue build for the Gravekeeper, it looks like. Priestess probably going to be rocking some Broken Windows. She's on a Restrain build. Puppeteer gets the own name of his build. Probably going to be some Tide, though. Hunter gets to choose here. What do you choose into this? I mean, QS can't really work. All of these survivors can delay hits so much. You can put out the Goat Man. Oh, yes! We got a Queen Bee! Yes, I was just saying that. Queen Bee coming out. The chips are not great to deal with the Enchantress, but Puppeteer has to do just gymnastics if he wants to deal with the amount of stingers coming his way. Gravekeeper, Gravekeeper is Gravekeeper. He can get up right next to the chair. I don't even know if you can get assimilation progress on him when he's in the shovel form. And Priestess breaks line of sight very easily with her portals, and has a very great get off me tool in her portals as well, getting a little bit of distance when she needs it the most. Because if the Queen Bee is right on top of you, very tough to deal with, especially on a map like Eversleeping with so many wide open line of sights and wide open just dead zones. Going into the match here, we are all locked in. Probably going to try and keep the Puppeteer a little safe. If they've got him untied, which they do, they're definitely going to need him to be safe. Yeah, and we do see spawning middle two-story, keeping the Puppeteer. That's probably the safest area on the map against a Queen Bee. Spawning the 12-9, once again, very tough to do to chase Survivor Enchantress. In the Graveyard spawn, interestingly enough, maybe trying to get her into Graveyard from the top middle position if the Hunter chooses to spawn there. And another Broken Windows and Flywheel Priestess. So I don't know how I feel too much about that. I don't think Priestess really takes too much advantage of it with Flywheel. She's one of the only survivors in the game with a vaulting debuff, and that can really hurt you against a character with a fast swing like the Queen Bee. You can't really go for some Flywheel into pallet drops or Flywheel into window vaults when your vaulting and pallet pulling speed is that slow. It looks like Queen Bee is spawning top middle. Going to be chasing either the Enchantress or the Gravekeeper, but like I said, I don't think you get assimilation progress when the Gravekeeper is in shovel. So being forced to chase the 12-9 Enchantress in Graveyard is going to be really rough. So if she really wants, she might be able to switch targets to the Puppeteer, assuming he does just not immediately rotate and hide, which can be immediately game-losing. Yeah, I don't think she chases Priestess here. Too far away, gonna have too many portals in a great area of the map for portals to just make a ton of distance and break line of sight, so going to be seeing probably either the Enchantress or the Puppeteer here. Enchantress obviously well suited to taking chase, but the Puppeteer, even though he can kind of just press buttons, when the Queen Bee is constantly getting assimilation off of his puppet form, she has no incentive to send stingers his way, because they're not going to do anything, and she just gets a ton of energy. Since Puppeteer's game plan is pretty much just press button, walk to pallet, wait there, the general gameplay loop doesn't really work when the Hunter is constantly getting her ability from you if you're just standing still. Let's see here, though. She is using her limited Queen Bee S tier. Skin is very pretty. Gonna be chasing... Going Gravekeeper? Gravekeeper dropping... Going Gravekeeper! No, going to Puppeteer. Okay, Gravekeeper drops 2 of the middle pallets, gives him a lot of safety with his shovels, as well as giving the survivors some safety. Although you don't really love to be vaulting pallets against a Queen Bee. Any interactables and she kind of just hits you. Looks like we've got some portals set up from the Priestess. Puppeteer going to be rotating all across the map here. But now with the line of sight, she is going to start getting her energy here from the Puppet. Ooh, playing some mind games. Puppet is probably... Does he make this pallet? He does not. Forced to use a Puppet. He has a little bit of presence there, but that's all that does. Manages to get the Puppet form off before he takes that chip. Good reaction from the Puppeteer. Sending another stinger, forces another Puppeteer, and once again, this is the gameplay loop I was talking about. He's just constantly feeding her energy, even if he's using his puppets. And he's forced, he can't go for any, he can't go for any predictions, because it's just... Oh, wow! Gets the Undaunted on the second stinger. If she got that stinger into hit, that would have been a down since he was at chip health. She is going to be just following along with the tram. Puppeteer knows he's going to die here. There's no reason to stick around. Get on the tram, get a free 30 seconds of invincibility. And there is the down. First presence coming through. No extra credit with any chips or anything. Just going to be a straight 1,000 presence from the Hunter here. Sharing where the Priestess was is not great, but Priestess's rotate ability with her portals on a map like Eversleeping means she's gonna just be on a Cypher right away. She can also set up these portals for potential support or help for the setup for the rescue. Enchantress moving closer to the middle of the map as she finishes up her Graveyard Cypher. After this tide, we might see... It's going to be either a cell or some harassments. This is one of their tide turners on chair here, and they do not have another one against a very scary rescue character like Queen Bee. Yeah, look at that. Just... Oh, never mind. Enchantress is coming in. Gets the immediate hit on the Puppeteer, unable to use his puppet form, unfortunately, and she does get a chip on the Enchantress for later. giving her 1 stack of her guard, but not really the end of the world. Especially since Puppeteer is choosing to die all the way in the corner here. It's going to be kind of tough to set up for some harassment. She might be going for it anyway. Oh, wow, gets the stinger off. Yeah, you can send that out at any point during that animation, so it's really easy to catch survivors off guard. Gives her a 3 stack of her guard here, which isn't great. Gets the drop. If she really wants, she can trump excitement for this, but Blink works too. Gets it down on the Enchantress, and now this is a 2nd stage Puppeteer and a Enchantress carrying 4 stacks and almost a 5th, sitting on the ground. Puppeteer going 2nd stage, sending in, probably going to be the Gravekeeper again. I mean, he took no damage, he still has 2 shovels. I don't really see Priestess being able to do so much outside of some support. She is carrying 3 out of 3 portals without setting any up, which I find interesting. Usually we find Priestess players, Prospector players, they like to set up something. Oh, there comes the global portal. Using it to call a down survivor, which is so cool. Why is the chair green? Do you guys see that? Why is the chair green? I don't know why it is. I have colorblind mode on, and it might just be glowing red. I don't think I've seen that before. Gonna be trying to get to the portal, but does get the portal break. Now a Enchantress hits the 3 stun, but 2 stacks of Addiction and Desperate Fight means that does nothing. Max Presence available if she really wants to use it, but also able to kind of just walk down the Puppeteer. Gonna just take the M1, leaving her at 97 energy. That, you really do not want the Queen Bee to have any energy when she's changing targets. She also has her Teleport coming up in 30. If she wants to go for this Enchantress here, that's probably her best target. It looks like she's going to be moving, using her Hive Mind ability, Max Presence, to catch up. Does she see the... She does see the footprints. Enchantress needs to hit a flywheel here, or just completely dodge, and she doesn't! Oh wow, that is a chair on this Enchantress now. She's going to have a 3 stack off when she gets rescued, but no borrowed time means this is a really good endgame target. Teleport coming up as well. She's able to break these pallets that were pre-dropped at the very beginning of the game. Now she can put on some pressure for the Priestess. Put some pressure for the Priestess. We love alliteration. Priestess has some portals set up, so she's not really in any danger, though. She can just hop in her portal and make it away. Let's see. Gravekeeper moving all around. It looks like they're probably going to 99 rescue this. With no tide, there's no guarantee the Enchantress makes any distance, especially with Addiction, so probably going to hope for some more decoding progress here. Breaks the portal, looking for an M1 on the Priestess with her bees still set up by the chair, so if the rescue does happen, she can instantly teleport back. Be completely immune to stuns because of her innate ability to be immune to stuns while in bee form. Breaks the portal, we have the rescue come out, and she's right back at her. Let's see, does she... She does not have the energy for the chip, and it is going to be a 3 stun. Enchantress now set up really nicely, only 12 energy on this Queen Bee and a ton of distance from the Broken Windows boost. Ciphers are climbing, both at 75. I think they are going to be able to push endgame here, but no borrowed time on the Enchantress means it's going to be an awkward pop, especially with all these chips coming out. Tries to get a hit over the window, but it doesn't quite work. This is going to be Enchantress dead. Reminder, she is dead on chair once she goes down. Flywheel, though. Cypher gets popped. They're not immediately on gates, though. She does not have much time. Goes down. When she chairs, this is going to be a dead Enchantress. Gravekeeper was on the back gate here, but is popping off just due to how close Queen Bee is. They know she has teleport. Does she see the Gravekeeper? Not quite. She sends her bees over to the gate and teleports to the Priestess, who has no portals set in her pocket, but she does have them set up around the area. This is also a Flywheel Broken Windows Priestess, so gonna be hard to chase, even with how fast Queen Bee is comparatively, because she has her Carnival boost, while the Priestess has no escape boost. Gets the down. Does she go for the 4K? Oh, no. She does not have her bees set up at the gate anymore. That is going to be a 1 escape from the survivors here. Gravekeeper able to just always make it out. Even with the bees set up, even with the high boost energy, Gravekeeper makes it out. Alright, that is a 4K into a 3K. The survivors here able to eke one out barely to give them the round win and the point advantage going into round 2 here. Well played from the survivors. I mean, using that extra chair time from the Enchantress to just kind of hang out, let her stew for a bit, and work on the deciphers was absolutely the correct decision. Queen Bee trying to get some pressure there by moving over to the Priestess just manually, but when it's a Priestess on Ever Sleeping and has Portal set up behind her, can't really do so much pressure, so she was able to decode a lot more than any other character typically would have been able to, and then once the rescue came out, Enchantress's persona traits, that Flywheel and Broken Windows, able to just get her all the distance she needs to push it to endgame. Both survivors did use a lot of meta survivors. I mean, an Aeroplanist is still available for the first team, and who was the last one? It was one of them. I think it was the... Who did they chase first? Sorry, guys. I forget instantly what happens after a match ends. But that is... What is that? 6 points? No. I'm not going to even try to do that. I forget what happens immediately after the match, and I can't do math. So I'm pretty much relegated to just the commentary position, because if I try to do anything else, I would just say a wrong number and everything would blow up. Let's see. Yeah, we are going to be moving into the next map ban, map pick stage, which is going to take a while, so we got some time on our hands. Ooh, yeah, I'm starting to feel it. I've been commentating yesterday, I'm commentating today, probably going to do some more next week, so gonna have to give my voice some time to rest. I do love talking, I do love hearing myself talk, do love hearing the sound of my own voice, but sometimes it kind of gets grating. What do we even choose here for the survivors? Let me check real quick. It was team... It was Team Ryu Potato that chose Ever Sleeping here. And it was Team Ryu Potato who got the... It was Team Rui Potato who got the 3K. So now it goes into Team Rebel's favor for choosing the map, and now they can choose anything they want. I mean, there's one map banned by the other team just by chosen map ban, and Ever Sleeping is global banned until round 3. So they could... There's a lot of strategies that open up here. If they trust in their hunter to get another 4K, they can choose a more hunter-sided map and choose their own survivors, trust in their own survivors' abilities to maybe get another one escape, in which case that would just be the game right there due to round wins. But they could also go the other way. They can choose a very survivor-sided map. It is Team Rebel with the Mad Eyes player as well, so we might see a Sacred Heart here. If the Mad Eyes manages to get a Sacred Heart 4K like what happened yesterday, it's for Team Rui Potato to make up that difference, because it is just so difficult to 4K on Hospital. I mean, we saw it yesterday. It was pretty much just a miracle what happened yesterday with them 4K Mad Eyes. That really does not happen on Sacred Heart. Looks like it is going to be Darkwood ban. I agree. I hate that map. I hate learning new things. Darkwood, the most recent map added to rank after Chinatown. And I still don't know like all the spawns for default spawns. I barely know all the dungeon spaces. So Team Rebel with a pretty decent lead here. Can obviously be taken down in an instant there. We are moving to Moonlight. We're moving to Moonlit. Moonlit River Park. Interesting. Okay. Moonlit, one of the most hunter-sided maps, just by just the sheer size of it and the 2 choke points in the North Cipher Bridge and the South Chair Bridge. Really tough for survivors to correctly plan ways to get across if the hunter is pressuring those 2 choke points. Endgame is really tough if you've got a macro hunter like Shadow, who we're not going to see again. Well, we could see from one of the teams, or even a Nightmare. Nightmare's only time in tournaments comes from specifically Moonlit River Park, just due to the sheer pressure that double teleport brings in endgame. But also, cipher layout is really important on Moonlit. You will always have 3 ciphers on the left, 3 ciphers on the right, and 1 in the middle. Moonlit has extreme variability of these ciphers as well. On the right, there's, I think, 7 different spots that can spawn, compared to the only 5 or so on the left. That's not right. It might be 5 and 4. So definitely a lot more variability on the right side of the map compared to the left. And if you're not careful, you can very, very easily get cipher locked on either side of the map. And if the hunter cipher locks you on half of Moonlit, they're never going to leave that half. They have no reason to. It is going to be Team Rui Potato choosing their hunter first. So it's going to be Team Rebels Survivors going into Team Rui Potato's hunter here. Team Rui Potato. Interesting. Okay. They just played Queen Bee. So they do have a lot of the more macro hunters available to them. Shadow doesn't do too well anymore due to how reduced her Yithian speed has become over time on these large maps like Lakeside and Moonlit, but she's still an option. Macro hunters do well on Moonlit. If she really wants to, she can go it. But this is also the hunter with a bunch of opera shenanigans on their profile. They've got the opera singer signature, they've got the opera singer S badge on their profile, they've got gold medal opera. Opera does pretty well on Moonlit. It's very streamlined. You chase on the left side, you kill them, you try and go for a 3 cipher or a cipher lock, and if that doesn't work, you try and get some funky stuff going with teleport in the end game. So Opera does very well on Moonlit. We might even see an Opera target ban just because of how open they've left their profile and how obvious it is that they play Opera Singer here. Looks like we are waiting just for the survivors to show up in the lobby here. But once we get that, we get moving into the band pick. Priestess Global Band is a little unfortunate for Moonlit. She only really sees any play on Ever Sleeping in Chinatown, but there is still something she can do on Moonlit. Huge map, global portal works great. Single portals work across the river in the middle of the map. Can be really frustrating for a hunter that does not have Desperate Fight or Addiction. Looks like we're just waiting. All right. Hunters showing up here. Survivors showing up here. Going to be waiting for the hunter to show up in just a second. Scary stuff. I hate loading into a lobby and seeing, or I love loading into a lobby and seeing everyone peaked here. It's so much fun. Everyone takes this game seriously. It is going to be the same hunter as before, so my professional opinion, we're probably going to see an opera singer. I would choose opera singer if I played opera singer, but my sensitivity is too low. From the survivors here, first officer is still available for the rescuer. I mean, I don't really love the idea of Merc, just because a lot of chair spawns here have nothing really nearby, so it's very easy to double down Merc or force out 2 or 3 elbow pads during just the first rescue. So, but they do still have some good rescue opportunities, especially since Aeroplanist is still available. Aeroplanist with the elevation given from the slides and the second and third stop stations, being able to just hover and get tons of distance is really beneficial. They do also still have the classic Goatman counterpick characters. There's Magician still available, Professor still available, Puppeteer still available for this team. So if they really want, they can make a really tanky team. This hunter did not ban Dr. Seer. Or they did ban Doctor, but they did not ban Seer, which makes sense for the Queen Bee. So if they want to ban those characters again, that's already 2 slots used. And this hunter, again, is down. The survivor is going to be pushing for just any results here, especially since this is such a hunter-sided map. They can kind of just trust in their hunter to do all the work here. But if they choose a character like an Embalmer, or again, like a Mechanic, that's going to be really tough for characters to deal with, even if it is an opera singer, just by the sheer size of Moonlit. We're waiting on just one more person to ready up before we move into it here. And then, yeah, we're all ready to go, waiting for the room to get started. So we've got Queen Bee down. We're going to have one more target ban. This is the hunter's 3rd character here. We might be able to see a Qist. If I were the survivors here, I would ban off the singer. So maybe a Qist. The mobility does some wonders here. It is going to be Antiquarian Matador. Once again, no Doctor ban. Really? Ah, man, especially on the left side of the map here, there's so many pallets, and Doctor can just get so much value from the body blocks or having harassers to support here. It is going to be a targeted Goatman ban. Goatman doesn't really see too much play on Moonlit. I feel like I see him usually saved for maybe a Lakeside or something, but they're banning the best hunter in the game, and they're going to be trying for some really strong survivors here. We see Meteorologist, incredibly consistent rescuer, once again benefits from the same thing Aeroplanist does with the elevation. First officer, second best rescuer in the game, Gravekeeper gone, you pull out the officer. We see a target ban on Doctor for 3rd. Same thing as last time, just Antiquarian, Matador, Doctor in that order. This is a little bit of a surprise here. We've got a little girl Little Girl in professional tournaments really only sees play on this map specifically. So interesting to see we're kind of subscribing to that idea as well. Pulling out probably the Tide Little Girl, keeping her safe. If they need to teleport across the map, they can. And Toy Merchant. No Puppeteer, no Aeroplanist. Interesting. Toy Merchant really doesn't really see much play, but if any map works for Toy Merchant, it's this one in Lakeside. Constant elevations with the second and third, the two-story, the haunted house, great areas for some catapults. Coaster, she takes advantage of it way more than probably any other character, save for maybe Bomber. Definitely a lot you can do here. They might even go. I'm looking at the builds here. I see 3 tides already, and Meteorologist might have a 4th. They could just run quadruple tide and go for a 1 escape here. In which case, that could be really debilitating for the Hunter, who once again is already down and is really looking for a 4K here to catch up. Interesting. Yeah, Toy Merchant with Tide. I mean, she really doesn't need anything else. All of her kiting ability comes just from going up in the air and being invincible for an entire 10 seconds or so. So broken windows, especially on Moonlit, where there's only a couple windows on the map in total, on the left side of the map, doesn't really see much play. She is also rocking Flywheel, though. So there's the Opera Singer. That's what I was saying. Entire profile dedicated to Opera Singer. They got to come at some point. So Opera Singer coming out here. Opera doesn't really love to chase any of these characters besides Little Girl, though. Toy Merchant can buy so much time just by mashing pallets and placing down her catapult. Officer obviously is Officer. Opera has a very short swing. If he runs in the middle of nowhere with his 10% speed boost from his pocket watch, he's not going to get those hits. Meteorologist has a lot to work with. She might want to chase Meteorologist, except if she's spawning 4th stop, which I expect that the Meteorologist is going to be doing, unless they want her taking chase, just because being able to use elevation and using ability that goes up in the air, similar to Airplanist, similar to Patient, she can really run around these 1st and 4th stop very easily. Yep, spawning Little Girl in the corner. If the Opera decides to chase her, she teleports across the map, and spawning Meteorologist at 4th stop. If she chooses to chase Meteorologist, she has to deal with a lot of the Stratuses coming in and just giving her a ton of elevation all the way around 4th stop. Toy Merchant spawning in Haunted House. It looks like we do have triple tide, but no quadruple tide. And all 3 borrowed time. We've got 3 borrowed time on the Officer, Little Girl, and Meteorologist, and a tide and Flywheel on the Toy Merchant here. I'm surprised we got Broken Windows Meteor instead of something like Flywheel. Usually with the character has a lengthy cooldown, like Meteorologist, it's like a whole 12 seconds or so. Being able to use Flywheel to extend that cooldown just by a single hit or so, really valuable. So I'm surprised we see Broken Windows, especially into an Opera Singer here. Opera spawning in the God Kite area of the map, the bottom right. But what does she even do here? If she chases Toy Merchant, she gets 2-story, she gets her glider, she goes all the way to 1st stop, she gets Coaster. If she chases Little Girl, she teleports across the map. This is a lose-lose for the Opera here, and I guess that's what the survivors were going for with this plan. I mean, God, yeah, a character, a chase-oriented character like Opera Singer. I was saying in the beginning, Moonlit is very good for cipher locks or 3 ciphers, but Opera's a chase hunter. She doesn't really patrol ciphers too much. She does have her speed to get around very easily, but she doesn't really have any way of holding ciphers. If the cipher gets done and there's an extra one across the map, she doesn't really have any way of preventing that. Let's see. Moving in here. I expect maybe a Little Girl chase. Maybe. Just to get her on the other side of the map and then maybe switch targets to Toy Merchant. Because if the Little Girl teleports away and you chase Toy Merchant, the 3 ciphers on the right side of the map are completely not being worked on. So, a lot of potential there, but again, you have to deal with Little Girl just full-on teleporting across the map. Let's see. Chasing Toy Merchant here, that makes sense. Little Girl teleports, I'm very surprised at that, especially with that top right 1st station spawn, she can definitely see her coming. That might be a little bit of a misplay, because now you're chasing the Toy Merchant. All 3 ciphers on this side of the map are not being done. Toy Merchant makes it all the way to 2nd stop, is going to take the catapult all the way to 1st. And we do see the 1st officer, it looks like, trying to rotate all the way in here, maybe press the 2nd stop button. Probably just going to be starting a cipher in this area, though. Definitely need some cipher layout planning on this map so you don't get cipher locked. That is a hit on a Toy Merchant, but she is just going to be taking coaster. Do we have the second stop pressed? It looks like we do. So she takes coaster. A messed up dash guarantees that she makes it all the way to third stop, and Opera's forced to either chase targets or deal with another catapult into glider. Looks like she is moving all the way to third stop here. Toy Merchant does have another, like I said, glider into catapult, or catapult into glider, excuse me, set up if she wants to go for it. She had eyes on the little girl, though. I'm surprised she's not going for little girl. She knows it's likely a little girl with Tide. Oh no, just barely misses the swing. Toy Merchant also has a flywheel to work with if she so chooses. Gets the flywheel, gets the pallet, oh, gets the pallet vault, but the blink comes out. And now their ciphers are a little slow for this kind of kite. I mean, she uses blink, but little girl teleported across the map and just started this cipher. First officer had to rotate super far in order to not get cipher locked. They're in a little bit of trouble here. Meteorologist finished up her cipher in the fourth stop corner and is moving over to the haunted house now, excuse me, the circus. But little girl's cipher being chaired upon, first officer having to rotate all the way across the map with an unlucky cipher layout. It was a little rough. Little girl takes a hit. I don't think she has any way to prevent this double down outside of a leech. Yeah, going straight for the double down here. Doesn't quite get it. She's going to get another page. Okay. Double down happens. She should have eyes on the Toy Merchant here, or at least a good idea of where she's gone. Yes, she does. Toy Merchant, I believe she is going to be able to make it all the way up to the window here. I don't think Opera can catch her. I stand corrected. She absolutely catches her. Gets the Terror Shock as well. A little extra presence. But wow, yeah, if she made that, I think that was just a win for the survivors. Toy Merchant could have used her glider to get all the way over to second stop again, and then just use the catapult that was already set up. She gets to keep one. Little girl getting healed up by the rain cloud, it looks like. Barmaid bottle don't work, but the rain cloud sure does. She finds the first officer very quickly, forces out another pocket watch, but officer's pretty fine with that. I mean, pocket watch exists for a reason, and that reason is getting to chair. So, using it to get to the chair and is not the end of the world. Gets the hit on the officer, though. So, uses the third swing as well. That is going to be another double down if she wants it. Toy Merchant purposely running into the opera singer here in order to avoid that double down specifically. She tosses out a decoy to the first officer here, gets him a little something so he can use in the endgame. And dropping all the way down into basement, forcing the opera to have to either teleport or waste a lot of time coming out of the basement here. And that is going to be the first kill happening right now. Just about 4 ciphers done. The first kill takes place. Their cipher layouts are well spread out. The little girl is going to be teleporting over to the first officer here to potentially get a heal in. Meteorologist is decoding on the other side of the map. They're going to be able to get the ciphers done, guaranteed, just by virtue of Meteorologist still having most of her bottle. It looks like the little girl leeches onto the officer here, going to be helping out in chase a little bit. Oh, Meteorologist messes up his skill check, delays the cipher a little bit. Officer crouching or walking around. He does have no item and is half health, so this is definitely what the opera singer is going to be looking for here. She knows which cipher is being decoded. She knows she has to teleport for it. Did she not see the officer? Oh no, she didn't. She teleports. I'm not sure if she has a remnant set up to go back either. Meteor gets a hit. That does not cancel the dash, though. Drops a pile on the wrong side, takes a hit. This is Broken Window's borrowed time Meteorologist, though, so she can potentially do something here. She's got windows to work with. She's got one more use of her bottle. Looks like she is using it as a Stratus just to make it to the window here. Makes it through, has her window vault speed boost available. The survivors have healed up across the map and are now doubling the last cipher. They're not doubling the last cipher. Officer is moving in to get the rescue here. They know the Meteorologist is likely going to be going down very soon, so they're just instantly setting up. Doing great to kind of get rid of the advantage hunters have on this map, which is, once again, their 3 cipher potential. But the crows! Oh no, just barely. He didn't tap the cipher. This is scary now. Her Shadow Dance is available. This could be down without the cipher being primed. Okay, cipher is going to be primed. The officer managed to avoid the hit for at least this amount of time. Cypher is primed. Officer moving in for the rescue here. Trying to delay it. Trying to maybe get that second stage. Not quite, though. Meteorologist goes down, and Officer is right here. She doesn't try. She does not decide to go for the Officer. Her teleport is going to be up in time. By the time the little girl is on the gates, she's only going to get about 30% of the gate done before she can teleport. Officer is seen here. Once again, this hunter is looking for a 4K. Their team got 4K last round, and they only got a 3K, so they're looking to bring it back here. But unless she gets the down right now, I don't think she can even get the 4K. Unfortunately, not enough. The gate is going to be open. Little girl is going to make it out by a matter of seconds. Oh, wow. And that is the one escape once again. 3K from this hunter, but it's not enough. She's looking for a 4K here. Wow. Well played from this opera singer. I love watching opera singer work, especially on a character or a player that really, really knows how to take advantage of her on a map like this. Definitely one of those characters that you sink a ton of hours into, learning all the shadow spots, and just see the results pay off immediately. Unfortunately, we could not get the 4K there, but now the survivors are in a really, really tough spot. This is a best of 3, so if they lose the round here, I believe they just lose the whole set. Someone might correct me on that. But this is Team Rui Potato Survivor going up into Team Rebels Hunter now. Oh, let me get out of the There we go. Yeah, this needs to be a 3 or a 1 escape to match, or better. If they get better, then they're also in a pretty good spot. But right now, if they get 4K'd, they are out. Well, not out because we are doing Swiss, but they will lose this set. Tough stuff. A lot of pressure now on these survivors. And the Hunter, who played Shadow, still has Goatman available. Still has a lot of the more macro players that I see in their arsenal. There is still a Mad Eyes. There is also a return opera singer as well. The player who plays Shadow does also play opera singer. So could just be a double opera singer here, and whoever's the best opera singer wins. Singer wins. And yeah, these survivors here, after having used 3 extremely strong characters in the first round, no more Gravekeeper, no more Matador, no more consistent Harasser with Archer, they're going to be looking at some of the more secondary type characters. I mean, you've got still your First Officer. We saw First Officer do very well last round. There are some still Enchanters, there's still Antiquarian if you need some Harassers, but Matador being gone is a bit of a loss here. Waiting on the Survivors and Hunter to join in. I can't imagine what's going through their minds here. I would love, I don't even know how we would set it up, but one of my favorite things about the official streams is the heart rate monitor. If the just like 190 BPM or something, like freaking out when you're already dead. One of my favorite parts, because you just have to imagine what's going through the players' minds at that point. You know, like they're freaking out. They're not even in the match. The hunter's freaking out. It's just so much fun. It humanizes the players a lot more. When they're up on the stage like that, thousands of screaming fans, it really makes it feel like, you know, they're also scared. This is also just a rank match. Well, it's not just a rank match, but you getting scared in your rank match and your heart pounding, the pros do it too. Looks Survivor. So we are switching that. The one who just played, so they're switching out if they will be back later if we have a round 3 or overtime. Yeah, I mean, it's very hard to 4 escape with an Embalmer unless you play really, really well. Moonlit lends itself to some more maybe atypical survivors. You can get Patient, do a lot of work here. Acrobat and Fourth Stop can be a nightmare to chase for many hunters. Who else? Aeroplanist, they still have an Aeroplanist available from last round. He was the one survivor that was not global banned. Still available, still a consistent rescuer, still does really well on Moonlit. So a lot of options there. And obviously, Dr. Sear, still available. Target banned last round, probably going to be target banned again. if you're a hunter and you're looking to 4K, you really cannot allow a seer or a doctor to stay in the match because they can very easily just start the snowball rolling of support, heal support, or get an owl off and where you really, really needed that down. We'll see though. Survivors are readying up, Hunters readying up. It looks like we are going to be moving into the match probably in the next minute or so. This could be the last match of the set, depending on how Team Rui Potato Survivors do. Let's see. Yeah, just waiting on him here. If I were to guess, probably going to see a first officer. If you're looking for, or they might even go for, instead of a more standard comp, they might go for a hard, similar to what I was saying for the other team. If they get a one escape, then they continue in the tournament, or they continue in the set. So they might be going for a hard one escape comp. We might see some crazy off meta picks, possibly in a bomber, maybe in a wildling, that kind of stuff. Loading into the ban and picks phase here. Gonna be Seer Doc. Get him out of here. Seer Doc banned all the time. In the chat right now, it is Team Rebel winning. They got a 4K into a one escape last round, and their hunter just got, or their survivors just got a one escape this round. We do see a Goatman target ban, same as the last round. Maybe even seeing a return opera, return to form. Picking their first two survivors, we see a meteorologist. Okay. Once again, Meteor very, very strong on this map. Despawn her fourth stop. She's not getting chased. She can set up. We saw it last round. Very quick heals with her rain cloud for the rescuers if they get double downed. We see a wildling. Oh my gosh, I called it. Wildling coming in. It looks like they might actually be going just straight up for a one escape team comp. If they get that one escape, they continue. But if they get 4K'd, the set finishes. So having a survivor that is really, really tough to get a 4K for, like Wildling, definitely something that is very valuable to the survivors here. Enchantress target ban, that is now an Archer and Enchantress banned for this round. Do we see the Antiquarian coming in? If you're looking for a draw or some or a one escape, harassment definitely very important. We see a magician pick. Okay, so banning the Goatman and yet picking the magician here maybe weakens them to, if they make it to round 3 or overtime, a potential Goatman. Oh man, overtime Goatman would be really funny. Priestess ban. Okay. Doesn't want the global support from the Priestess here. The global portal, like I said, can turn games, and the portal support just in the middle of the map is also really, really important. We see a novelist. Okay. You know what? I kind of mess with the novelist. Shadow's been global banned. You're at no risk of his biggest counter. He can do pretty well into Opera. He can cancel dashes if he plays it really well. And any other hunter that needs to get close or does not have the sheer mobility that Opera has, definitely at risk of those pallet stuns, the metaphor into pallet stun swaps. They are locking it in here. We're definitely going to see a Tide Wildling, but other than that, all three of these characters can realistically run Tide, although Magician and Novelist typically run it with no BT, either a Broken Windows or a Flywheel. I have seen a single Tide Meteorologist, but maybe also looking for some more consistency here. If they're just looking for a one escape, we might even see no BT on any of the potential rescuer characters, or a lot of Tide Turners. So we shall see. With the character set up like this, if you just go for two Tide Turners, you kind of weaken yourself or open yourself up to a potential one of your Tide Turner characters getting chased. And if you're looking for a one escape, you really, really can't have that. So maybe overcorrecting or trying to counter that strategy by playing three Tide Turners. Because again, all of these survivors can realistically carry Tide. Wildling is the only one that will be guaranteed carrying Tide. All right, they've got their talents. We are waiting on the hunter pick here. I'm expecting a return opera singer, but we might see something crazy. There is a Mad Eyes player on this team. I don't think it's this one. Hermit! Ooh! Hermit is scary. Hermit can keep a distance against Novelist. Very hard to get the metaphor into Palestine against a Hermit when you are just at risk of being stunned out of it. Magician has been buffed to where he counters Hermit now. The decoy actually eats the stun, but Meteorologist healing, very valuable for the team now. And Wildling, I don't really think. It's kind of a 50-50 matchup there. Hermit doesn't really affect Wildling. Wildling doesn't really affect Hermit. Outside of just his, default very, very slow decoding. Probably going to see Meteorologist 4th stop. They've got Novelist spawning Cipher Bridge. Interesting. Yeah, Meteor 4th stop, Novelist Cipher Bridge. Are they baiting a chase on the Wildling here? Where's the Wildling going to spawn? Okay. They're switching it around. Wildling's going 2-story, Magician 1st stop. Interesting. Meteor is their second Tide Turner here, and she is spawning 4th stop with a Flywheel build with Tide Turner. We've got Broken Windows Magician and Broken Windows Flywheel on the Novelist, so half BT, half no BT. Against a Hermit, that can be pretty rough if those survivors do make it to endgame and they're not the ones ending up getting chased. Because with the damage sharing in endgame and gates giving you a guaranteed charge, not having that extra health state from borrowed time can be kind of tough. I'm interested to see who he chases here. I don't think you chase... Do you chase Novelist? He has borrowed time, or he has no borrowed time. He has Broken Windows Flywheel, so that is going to be a really rough chase, especially in this area that he's chasing into with the tall line of sight blockers and Circus. So I think it's probably going to be Magician here. You can't really... The Novelist can't really risk turning off second stop because it means moving into the Hermit, and they don't really know who he's going to be targeting here. So Magician taking Coaster with, I'm assuming, Warp going to be around that time, or First Presence coming from Insolence. A little risky. He might even potentially risk a Terror Shock there. So, but he really doesn't have much else where to go, unless he takes Coaster immediately, in which case he's going to be kiting either on the Novelist Cipher or the Wildling. And also, depending on the Cipher layout, they might get... It's a 1 out of 5 that they get a Cipher in the very, very middle of the map with no Cipher in Haunted House, in which case the Wildling, if he takes Coaster immediately, definitely kiting on his Cipher. So, we will see. The one person safest, though, is, of course, the Meteorologist, which was their idea in spawning her in the 4th stop. No animation? There's the animation. Gonna be chasing Magician immediately. Looks like they did not roll the 1 and 5 for the middle Cipher. Wildling rotating? Wildling is rotating. Was he... Huh, Wildling was rotating out of the Cipher. Maybe he thought he was getting chased as a Wildling? That's interesting. In terms of build, it is Insolence Detention. He does have a little bit of stun reduction. 1 impact, just making it work there. Magician, just kind of running around first up here, is going to take a charge immediately, and with a 10-second cooldown, that Miracle is going to be off cooldown and potentially risking a hit here without the survivors able to damage share and give him a little bit of an advantage there. Looks like is going to be able to get a hit, and the survivors cannot change to blue. That's a little rough for the survivors here. And once again, yeah, he's getting Coaster by the time First Presence is available. No Warp, but Teleport as well. Disconnects! Oh, this is scary. Disconnects, that's dead! Oh no! Not what you like to see against a Hermit. Absolutely not. Hermit has a very, very slow decoding just by default because of his Cipher connection. You definitely don't want a survivor dying by the time, about the time Blink is up. This is really scary. Not looking good for the survivors whose entire goal is to not get 4K'd. We do see Wildling taking a big roundabout coming in here. Wildling has longer footprints though, so we're probably either going to see the Wildling or the footprints. Wildling does get seen. I'm so surprised that didn't hit. Tolerance giving him a pitiful pushback there. Gonna be also farming max presence off of the Wildling here. And sending in the Novelist for the double rescue. He doesn't make that. Oh, that's second stage. Oh, this is disastrous. Gets the Pallet Stone, but that is second stage for the Magician. And he goes down with no tide because the Novelist rescued. Oh, wow. A 3v1 at 5 Ciphers against a Hermit. I cannot think of a worse situation for the survivors to be in. Oh, no. Gets a hit on the Novelist, too, just getting some spread damage. Some extra credit for the road. Picking up the Magician here, who is dead. Wow, just everything that could go wrong went wrong. Gonna be using his teleport here, teleporting to the Wildling, whose his boar is still on cooldown, so we can get a lot of damage here. Attachment gets the hit. This is gonna be just projecting to the Meteorologist as well. Does he... It's 7 seconds before boar is back. This is really dangerous. Hits a moonwalk. He gets that down. Oh no. Meteorologist, the only Tide Turner left because the Wildling is getting chaired here. Gonna be using her Rain Cloud while opening up a chest, just looking for some items here. She's the only one that can use it, just saving it for later, I guess. She's gonna be sitting in the same spot regardless. but this does tell the Hermit exactly where the Meteorologist is coming from. He knows that the Novelist is across the map, not decoding, and is in fact going to connect that Cypher just to get a little more damage for when he hits the Meteorologist a little bit. If he hits the Meteorologist with the color, he's not gonna. This is found way too early. Oh, it's all falling apart. No, the Meteorologist, she can't risk coming in because does give blue. Probably going to see the Novelist damage share a little bit here, because if he doesn't, I don't know if she makes this rescue. Wildling does go second stage. Gets the hit, baits out the flywheel. No attachment means he's not going to be able to make it to chair before her, unless he gets a crazy snipe with the Miracle here. Using Stratus just straight up to get to the chair. Off 1 second, gets the hit, but unfortunately does not get the down. Gonna be damage projecting onto the Novice a little bit, and switching target to the Meteorologist, it looks like. Wildling having a charge means he's gonna be taking some damage if this is red, unless he can get on a Cypher, and Novelist gonna be chipped pretty significantly here. This is not looking good for the survivors here, who once again need this one escape. If anything, it's gonna be a hatch, is their only chance of getting one out here. See, that is going to be the down. No flywheel left, no bottle. She does have whatever items she got from the chest available if she so desires, but 2 Cyphers left against Hermit with 3 stacks of Panic, 2 stacks of Deteriorate, and a Wildling decoding speed means this is going to take a miracle if they want to make it out here. Wildling coming around, trying to hide, potentially make something happen with his Tide, but he gets spotted! Well played from the Hermit there. Oh, he definitely got spotted. Hermit sees him from the distance. Wildling doesn't even know he's been spotted yet. And if he hits the Novelist, if he hits the Wildling with red, I think the Novelist dies. Wildling gets back on his boar, is going to be 25 seconds of invincibility here, which does give the Novelist some time to switch to blue if they need, and potentially push for a 1 escape here. But he definitely doesn't make it to chair. And his boar's going to be running out here, about 10 seconds. He should know the Novelist is still decoding, though. I'm not sure why he's not just straight chasing the Wildling. I mean, yeah, you hear the Cyphers. Did he think it was primed? I'm not sure why we didn't chase the Wildling there. That was... If he got the down on... If he hit the Wildling with red, the Novelist was in a lot of trouble. Where is the hatch here? Okay, both factions should know where the hatch is because the Meteorologist was chaired on it. Hitting him with an attachment from all the way up. I don't know why we didn't chase the Wildling. Maybe Wildling is very consistent at getting a 1 escape just because of final deduction. He can stay on the ground for a long time, and when he finally gets up, it takes him a while for him to get down just because of the 25-second bore. He does hear the Novelist, it looks like. Survivors make very loud injure sounds. Yeah, he does hear the Novelist. He knows he's just up here. You can hear his little grunts. Okay, there he is. Surprise. Novelist goes down. This is now just a battle of final deduction. However, Wildling cannot get rid of his crows by touching a Cypher, because all 3 Cyphers are connected. So that puts him at a disadvantage, and also tells the Hermit that he's on one of these 3 Cyphers immediately. He has his teleport available. He knows the Wildling is probably in this area, and there's the crows. Yeah, things get really tough from here on out. The Wildling is going to be able to kite for a very long time. Well, maybe. Attachment's going to be going over this, but at least 25 seconds of bore here. Giving him blue. The Wildling, or the Novelist already used his self-heal. Interesting. Wildling's strength in the 2v1 come from the fact that it's very difficult to down him in a quick manner when another survivor's already on the ground. And he just kind of got rid of that by already using his self-heal here. Same deal now for the Novelist. Wildling has already been on chair, so we're probably not going to see a chair, instead forcing out the self-heal. Novelist cannot get rid of crows without touching a Cypher, and touching a Cypher gives him a charge. Looks like he's holding out, or not pressing the teleport button, but looking to teleport. He knows if Novelist touches a Cypher, it is going to be that one. Does he see him again? I think he did! Oh, he did! Wow, same spot. And just immediately finds him. Okay, both survivors are on the side of the map with Dungeon. Metaphor comes through. Wildling has his self-heal still, but the Novelist is going to be going down here. Baits out the flywheel, gets the hit. That is Novelist downed again with about 75% on his bleed out timer. Hatches across the map. Wildling is running away from the dungeon. Maybe trying to make a big loop around the river here. No, just going straight into two-story. I think if Wildling plays this right, he can definitely kite until the bleed out happens, but he's just so far away from dungeon. Yeah, I mean, he's just running to the opposite corner of dungeon. Is he going for coaster? What are we doing here? Gets on his boar. Again, is going to be maybe able to kite out until the Novelist bleeds out, but not much further than that. Naturally slower speed. There's the down. And able to just, I mean, he can just sit here. He can wait, yeah. Just going to sit here, wait for the Novelist to bleed out. Novelist will always bleed out before the Wildling. Neither has their self-heal. No reason to do. Novelist is crawling to the dungeon, but he has no incentive to chair here. Wildling is dead on chair, so if he chairs Wildling, the Novelist gets the hatch, so I guess we're just gonna sit here. Yep. This will be Identity 5 in 2026. Yeah, Novelist bleeding out in like 5 more seconds. And then he's free to chair. There he goes, and there goes the Wildling. Well played. Playing around the bleed out very, very well there. Although the Wildling, maybe the plan was to try and get him to chair, but I mean, doesn't really work if the hunter is aware of where the dungeon is and aware of exactly what's going on in terms of the chair states. That is going to be the set. Congratulations to Team Rebel. Yeah, well played. Incredible showmanship from the Hunters. 2 off-meta picks from Team Rebel with the Shadow into the Hermits. And 2 awesome, very well-played games from the Queen Bee and the Opera Singer. I'm excited. This was my first Queen Bee game I got to commentate. I'm really happy. That was really fun to watch. I loved seeing all the chips being sent their way and the puppeteer kind of just fighting for his life. We've got our next matchup very soon after this, in about 30 minutes. What are we looking at? You guys tuning in about 30 minutes will have Go Loco versus CPTSD. CPTSD, long name there, big acronyms. So tune in then. We've got Nico and Usagi on commentary for that, and 2 more matches after that, leading well into the night. So long day of tournament ahead of us, and I hope you guys are here to witness it with us. I'm going to be signing off here, giving people, the staff team, just about a 30-minute break before we get started on the next one. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a good one. See you soon.